Welcome to Life 15. In this video, I'm going to be doing the Waterworks Part 1 and 2, and I'm just going to be doing them on Reaper 2 skulls. What the heck is Life 15? Well, let's call this an informal series. I wanted to give you a post-Reaper life update, talk about what I'm doing these days, and what I want to do this life is do some videos of quests that I do a little bit differently now because of Reaper mode. Reaper mode is changing the way we're running these quests, and there are some subtle differences in the way that I run some of these quests that can be very helpful in Reaper mode. Little things, and just one example of that is like with Coalescence Chamber. Traditionally, we used to farm the bats for conquest. But farming bats for conquest in Cold Chamber can be very dangerous because with every wave of bats, you can have reapers that spawn. And you can kill the bats really quick, so you're cycling through lots of waves of bats pretty quickly, and you can build up 2, 3, 4 reapers before you know it, and that can turn into a disaster. So in Coalescence Chamber, instead of doing that, I actually will do the optional raid at the start now. Clearing out that top temple, and that takes about 5 minutes. But there's a whole bunch of kills there, and that's a lot more measured than the bats, which are coming, wave after wave after wave. And then another subtle difference in Cold Chamber, just as another example in that particular quest, I think it's when you're coming out of the first or second room and you're dropping way down that shaft, and there's tons of mobs. Well, traditionally, we would just jump down, take our feather fall off, and just go to the platform we needed to. But if you got bunch of champion casters and some people are feather falling down, they get hit, that can turn into a big mess when you're with a group. People are dying on the way down. What if there's fear reapers that you aggro? Now you got to go back up and find those and kill them before they wipe the party. So that can be a mess if you just jump quickly down there. So in that part, we like to slowly fight our way down, clearing along the way, which accomplishes a few things. One, that avoids disasters from going down quickly. It avoids aggroing fear reapers if there are any. Plus, you're getting all the kills, which gets you closer to conquest, and therefore you can avoid doing the bats, as I said, which is messy. So, going to be doing some quests this life and doing videos of those and talking about little things that I'm doing differently in the quests that I find helpful in Reaper mode. The reason why I chose Waterworks is because in the second part, there's something I like to do, a couple things I like to do a little bit differently. Something that I used to do, which is problematic now in Reaper mode, and I'll talk about that when I get there. So, I had so much fun during Reaper Life. That was an epic series. I can't believe it's over. We got done making those episodes quite a while ago, and I'm actually in Life 4 since then. So, Reaper Life was my second human life. While I finished my human lives, I'm actually on my third half-orc life now. So you've seen me as the half-orc in the intros, the later intros of the series. And I said that I probably wouldn't do any videos with the half-orc, but here I am. I'm going to do quite a few videos in my half-orc life. Pretty cool that I am starting with 4 action points now because I have all the human done, I have all the warforged done, I have all of the dwarf done, and what the hell else did I do? Dragonborn, derp-a-derp. So that was the first series. So, when you get to that third tier of each one, you get an extra action point to spend your racial tree. So with the half-orc, there's not really much exciting here. The tier 1 you have to get, obviously, to spend further up, and I'm just getting 3 to my will save. I'll actually spend a couple more points later on. I'll put 1 point here in brute force just to open up tier 2, and I'll get this lock bash, which allows you to use your intimidate check to open locks. And so I have intimidate on this team, so I can open locks, which is for free, which is totally awesome. I've been loving that, but not getting anything else in that tree. But one of the neat things about the half-orc life, while there's nothing really in the racial tree for me, here on my druid, that's opening up a lot of extra enhancement points, which I've been spending in the Harper Agent. So I've been getting the extra hit points, the extra spell points, the extra skill points. So that's been kind of neat. On the gear side, I'm not going to go over the gear. This is the same as it was during Reaper Life, pretty much the same as it was during the Dragon War project. But I do want to say that I made a new spreadsheet of my current gear in my build post in the Druid forum. So if you want to see that, it has every level, the gear that I'm using for every level from 1 through 19. And then I also have a separate spreadsheet right below that of notable gear. So this is new for my build post. Notable gear that I'm using every level. So beyond the stuff that I'm actually wearing, other notable gear like, having mana pots and the Curse Blade of Jack Jibbers, and my new favorite thing, which is the permanent hireling. I wanted to mention this too. So some of you have been bugging me for years to get this, but I never really felt like I needed it. Before Reaper mode, we're just blasting through these dungeons, and with my torque build and everything, I didn't really feel like I needed any extra source of mana. Pots were there as an emergency, but in Reaper mode, it's a lot more mana intensive. And the cool thing about this permanent hireling is that, well, it's a gold seal hireling, so you can pop it out anywhere in the dungeon, and it has divine vitality. So you actually get about 250 spell points from using the divine vitalities on that cleric, and then you just put her away, and then 5 minutes later you can resummon her and get another 250 spell points. So that has just been huge. Whenever I'm not, in a full group, I'm pulling her out every 5 minutes pretty much. And if you have access to a shrine, you can get all the DVs, rest the hireling, and then you get him again. That's 500 spell points. Totally awesome. If you're not familiar with this item, it does come from the DDO starter pack, which if you don't know what that is, just go Google DDO starter pack, and it's $9.99. You get the Catacombs pack, you get a Scorpion pet, you get the perma hireling, you get 5 XP elixirs and 250 DDO points. So that's a really good deal. For the perma hireling alone, if you're a spellcaster, and it's bound to account, so you can move it around, that alone makes it worth it. But when they do their Black Friday deals, you can get that thing for like $250. Smoking deal. So take a look at that if you are interested. You didn't know about that option. It's really nice to have. Really loving it in Reaper mode. Harper pin, just all the extra things, which potions I like to buy and or like to stock up on, and so on. The petrifying runestone, so that it's just other gear, gems of ocean winds beyond the stuff that I'm actually wearing and equipping. So take a look at that. If I know that a lot of the channel viewers, some of the channel viewers are fans of my druid build and have your own versions of the Ninja Spice druid build, so you can take a look at that. The gear is not meant to be, it's not meant to say this is what you must have. It's just showing you what I use so you can give you some gearing ideas. Okay, what else? I got a new video recording setup, so still using OBS, which is I think that's Open Broadcast software. It's free. I appreciate the folks that have said, you wanted to hear the voices of everybody else, and that's what got me to using OBS. So for the last leg of the Reaper Life series, I was using that, and that captures everybody's voice. But that was at the sacrifice of frame rate, and some of you noticed that the frame rate was kind of poor in those last several videos, and I'm not really happy about that. I want to give you guys the best quality product that I reasonably can. Everything I do is on free software, but I want to produce nice videos. So I YouTubed for some, what are the best settings to use. And I found a video that was really helpful. It's short. I'm going to put a link in the video description because a lot of you have asked me what do I do to record my videos. So I'll put that link if you're using OBS or you want to try it out. It has some suggested settings, and so I'm hoping that this will produce a nicer video with a better frame rate. And I'm also changing the format I'm using. When I mentioned my switch over, I said I was using a file format called .ts, and I didn't really know what that was. I Googled it. It was something about DVD format. But it was the only format that I found of the short list of formats that OBS can save in that my free Windows Movie Maker seemed to like. The only other format that I could even open in Movie Maker was MP4, but when I opened it in Movie Maker, it looked very bad video quality. So I just wrote that off the table. But then I had a suspicion, after watching that video, and the guy was saying, save an MP4, and I was like, wait a minute, I tried that, it didn't look so hot. Well, I had a suspicion that maybe just when the video editor was rendering it, I don't know if that's the right term, but when it's just like sort of the video that you're viewing while you're editing, sometimes that's lower quality than the actual video, just for purposes of editing it. So I made a short video and then saved it as a movie, and when I played it as the movie file, it looked really good. So I'm hoping that this new file format and these new settings will be producing a better end product for you guys. Okay, and by the way, if you're a little bit newer to my channel, this is just a hobby channel. None of my videos are monetized. I don't get anything for this. Believe me, I'd like to, but DDO just doesn't have the population base to bring a lot of traffic here. And if I tried to monetize my videos, I'd probably get about 15 cents a month out of it. Some of my videos are monetized by the copyright holders. You probably noticed, like in the ending of Reaper Life, I use copyright songs in some of my videos. But the way that works is there's something called fair use policy, I think it's called. So you can like use copyrighted songs. Generally, some of them are uber protected, but generally you can, and it's just your copyright owner has the rights to that, and if it plays commercials during your videos, they get any revenue that's generated by that, which win-win for them. They get more exposure to their content, plus they're getting a little bit of revenue out of that as well. Okay, Reaper 2. So these first few levels, I'm just doing, if I'm soloing, I'm just doing R1 and R2. I don't have access to my Reaper trees yet. That's all level gated for level 4. I can't even unlock that stuff yet. But I'm up to 39 Reaper points. And what's cool is that once you get to 36, when you reach level 4, you can max out everything across the board. So when I get to level 4, I'm actually going to have 3 Reaper points that I can't even spend. I'll have maxed everything out. And those 3 won't be able to be spent until level 9. Then I'll be able to, with those 3 left over, I won't have to respec. I can just boom, get tier 2 of the innates right at level 9. Another subtle difference in the way that I'm playing my own tune is the spells that I'm picking. So level 1, I'm picking spells that I traditionally didn't use until Reaper mode. And Tangle is really nice low B crowd control. In fact, I use that right up until I get Earthquake at level 15. That throws down some little weeds. Here's what it looks like. And it slows down mobs. It's like the Druid version of Web almost, But Web has a chance to like immobilize them. This doesn't. It just slows them way down in their attack speed and their movement speed and stuff. And then Charm Animal. I love this. I never used this before and just loved, and only somewhat recently found out, since Reaper mode and I started, re-examining the spells, is that this not only works on animals proper, which I thought it was only for animals, but it also works on magical beasts and vermin, like scorpions and spiders. So it's pretty cool. And then level 2, like I took Cure Light Wounds because I want to have a quick emergency heal if I need it. It doesn't give much, but it's quick. Whereas traditionally I would have filled that up with like, Bull Strength or Bear's Endurance. And these first 2 level spells, there would be like, Ram's Might and Jump probably. For those of you who may be a little bit newer, say you want to make a little money, maybe make some shards, really pushed the value of Vorpals during the Reaper Life series. And there's still a lot of the community that hasn't realized how valuable Vorpals are, so you're still able to find a lot of them super cheap. I mean, they're relatively common now, but you can find some pretty nice Vorpals pretty cheap on the auction house still. And you can find them in the pawn shops too, like in the south end of the market. You can find some lobies, which is where I found this. A level 1 Vorpal Scimitar of Draining. Like, how freaking cool is that? Vorpal on it, and I get temporary spell points out of it too on Vorpal hit. Not very much, but it's pretty freaking cool for a level 1 weapon. If you can get like a Vorpal with like a red slot on it, oh man, you could probably sell that for hundreds and hundreds of shards. If it's if it's a desirable weapon type, not some light mace. I don't, I like to wait to do Waterworks as my last level 3 spells because, you know, I want to get the SLA of Creeping Cold. You know, I feel like I need that in here. Switch to wolf form to DPS the oozes. I don't really have anything else to do against gray oozes. They're immune to cold and immune to fire, and that's all the casting that I have is cold and fire right now. Reduce flame and creeping cold. So just switch to wolf form, and when you're in wolf form, it doesn't damage your weapons. I just have the Creeping Cold SLA up to tier 2, so the cooldown's a little bit longer than it will be once I get another action point. And another change that I made after doing the Dragonborn series is making it a higher priority to get Maximizing in Power and Quicken. Well, actually, I always have Maximizing Power right away, but Quicken, I used to have it level 9, and I bumped it up to level 6. Level 9 is just too late. I'm losing too many spells. But I decided to turn Maximizing Power off for the regular version of Creeping Cold because it's pretty costly, and it just doesn't seem like we're doing much of a difference. At least not to warrant all the extra spell points right now. You know, I'm so spell point starved this low level. But I can spam it when I have Maximizing Power turned off, and it still does pretty good damage. Let's just start spamming it. See how that works. So I'm just using the regular version, which is only 6 spell points. The Family Reaper up there. Need to get him dead quick. Make sure you got your shield going. You're gonna need that. Should we charm a wolf? He doesn't want to be charmed. Throw down some weeds. The Family Reaper is dead from our Creeping Cold. A lot of these, you know, the really low level quests, I end up just soloing because, you know, the folks that I'm running with, maybe they didn't TR exactly when I did or something, and, you know, we might meet up around level 5 or something, for example. Ooh, I gotta load up my Cure Critical wands. Or Cure Moderate. I've Cure, and then I'm using Cure Serious potions. It's a very slow healing, but better than nothing. It's better than using your own spell points to cast like Cure Light Wounds. Fear Reaper. So yeah, I'm just usually just like soloing these lobby quests and just doing them on R1 and 2. Because I don't have access to Reaper points yet. Carney. Stoned. Are you dead yet, Carney? Come on. Skyborn's got some hit points. Here, I'll bring out my girlfriend now and show you. She'll fill me right up. Best girlfriend I ever had. Actually got her DVs hotkeyed. So I have to sit there and click. Probably should learn how to do macros and then macro that, but then she can top me off my hit points too. Goodbye. But yeah, I don't know how to do macros. Never really looked into it. Casters first. Always go for casters first. Now, I've talked about that before, and you knew that, right? Of course you did. But just in case you didn't, go for the casters first. It's more important than ever in Reaper mode. Casters, generally speaking, are very dangerous. Reapers, too, are, of course, a top priority. You start getting champion casters throwing things like flame strikes and, you know, horde wilting later on. These freaking dots like I'm getting beat up with right now. Holy crap, I'm gonna die. Maybe I should open up this shrine before I die. Oh, it's that demon soul. You get a bad champ, game over. Sometimes you gotta jump around like a jackass to get the job done. Where's that emergency heal I talked about? There it is. Ooh, he's got big dots on me. 6 stacks. That ain't right. Jeez, oh Pete's. It's obnoxious. Yeah, look at this. 20, what is it, 25 seconds per stack? Is it really gonna do that to me? Because I can't rest now, it's gonna interrupt me when it ticks. I think. Let's try it. Oh, interesting. I'm resting through damage. Oh, and now it's gone. That was just rude. You go pots. It's a nice little bump in hit points. That's 26 extra, I guess it would be at this level. Extra hit points can be meaningful. Actually, any time, but you know, especially in these low requests. Channel getting close to having 600 videos on it. was saying to my guildies earlier that you're playing, you're hooked on DDO when you run a fan site YouTube channel as a hobby that has 600 videos. Probably do some videos this life with Nimbin and maybe Enoch. I've been running with him a lot since Reaper Life. And Little Mama a fair bit as well. Haven't really grouped with Jimmy since Reaper Life. Group with Sykes a little bit. Jimmy, I didn't really group with Jimmy a whole lot before Reaper Life. He just has a, he's a working man, works a lot, and just plays in the evenings for a couple hours usually every night. And not necessarily even every night. But our schedules aligned right before Reaper Life and the life before Reaper Life. And we had an open spot, so we were like, hey man, you want to be part of this? And he was like, sure. It was really cool to get to know him a little bit better. He's been in my guild for a couple of years, but just haven't run with him a whole bunch. He does raid with us a fair bit, but he's a pretty quiet guy. As you could see from Reaper Life if you watched that series. Weeds. Stone guard. Can we stone him? Yep. Ransack noise. Where's my chest? Supposed to be a chest with a key up here? What the hell? Am I thinking about... Am I losing my mind here? Probably. Weird. I mean, it is 9 o'clock in the morning and I have been up all night. It really is shocking to me still, 8 years into this game, how poorly I know these Lobby quests. Because I run them once per life, I never liked farming quests out and doing a whole bunch, repeating quests a whole bunch of times. And so, like Waterworks, I might do it once per life. For those of you who are running Reaper mode, maybe a little bit newer, and if you're struggling with survivability, you may be thinking like, do I need to go get a bunch of past lives? There's a bunch of hit points available from past lives. But if you're interested in running Reapers and you're doing, heroic lives, building up your Reaper points is a more efficient, is a quicker way to make yourself survivable. Even if you get all your primal past lives, at this point, I'm looking at like 36 extra hit points, I think, and then 30 more for my barbarian past life. So it's like, I believe 66 extra hit points starting with until level 10 when you get the next tier of hit points from the past lives. but you can get 66 extra hit points out of your Reaper trees. You know, if you're going in the tank tree, you know, that's eight hit points per action point spent in the tank tree. So 66 divided by 8. What is that? 8-ish. So 8 Reaper points by the time you hit level 4. You know, is equivalent to all those in terms of the hit point value. All those primal past lives and barbarian past lives. At that point. And you can build up 8 Reaper points really quickly. You can get that in a life. Oh, Mark of Law. Does force damage, is scary, and gets stoned. I love those things. If you haven't made yourself some petrifying ruin stones yet, stop procrastinating and just do it already. They're super cheap to make, even with the bound crafting station. They just cost like these ones, I think it's like 10, for a stack of 10, it's like 10 essences and like 100 of those stupid yellow Sybaris Dragon Shard fragments, which you should have a million of. And if you don't, go buy some in the auction house cheap. I'm so bad at these lobby quests that I think it was the Life Before Reaper Life. It might have even, yeah, I think it was Life Before Reaper Life. Like, we came back here. I remember it was like me and Syax, and I was like, I don't remember any of this. And everybody's like, yeah, that's the spider optional over there, or you can go to the end to the right. And I was like, I don't remember anything beyond that door. I'm like Memento. I've got memory issues or something. And I don't need to fight those guys. I'm just gonna run by them. Yep. Alright, this is actually try 2 for part 2 for me. So I died in my first attempt. When I got down to the passageway that's across from where you come in, there were 5 champions and 3 reapers, and it was just crazy. And so I died, and I gibbers up, and I was wanting to keep that because I showed how, you know, you could gibbers up, run to a shrine. It was a good demonstration of that. Emphasizes the importance of gibbers even when you're soloing, because that gives you enough time to, you know, a minute to get to a shrine. But then I died again. You know, there were just too many mobs, too many champions, too many reapers. I took a couple of the reapers out, a couple of the champions, a couple of the casters, but it was ridiculous. So here we go again. Reaper 2 skulls. Oh, for God's sake. Make sure you got a shield clicky. Those Famine Reapers do magic missiles that can be really scary. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Sometimes. The Famine Reaper dead? Oh, that's the name. Walks right into the traps. some weeds down. Get out of line of sight of that caster. And just let Creeping Cold do its thing. Well, that was a ridiculous start. And that wasn't even as bad as what happened in the last instance. Or I died twice. It was like 3 times that much stuff. I thought there was another kobold. Guess not. So I mentioned at the beginning of the video that there was just some minor things I do differently in this one. So in this, I like to clear to the shrine. You know, I never needed to do that before, but in repromote, bad things can happen, as did in my last instance. And so, you know, if I need to gibbers up, I want to be able to run back to the shrine and not have to deal with a bunch of mobs. These mobs right here. If I got 1 minute to run back and I got to deal with all this garbage, then, you know, might not make it. So clear to the shrine. I still don't do this optional. I never did. I mean, I've done it before, but I mean, I didn't traditionally do it. I'm not going to do it now. I just want to clear to the shrine. Have that way clear. So there's no value in opening this door. As you may well know, it does not stay open. It will close about 5 seconds later. So if you're dead and running to it and you're alone, you might be SOL. But if you're up with your gibbers, you got a minute to get to it at least. You can see my gibbers is still on cooldown from when I used it in the last instance. Get out of line of sight of these casters. Stoned. So I would traditionally just go up here and get it all done from up here. But I don't do that anymore because, as you may have found out on your own, that when you do Waterworks Part 2 in Reaper mode and you go into the prison from this way, it just everything aggroes and it turns into a red dungeon alert mess. So I found it to be more manageable. I clear up there first, but then come back here and go and take the low road. This was the part up here. There were 3 Reapers and 5 champions down there. It was just too much for me. I'm gonna burn up my mana, and then I'm gonna have a conversation with my girlfriend. Got the casters back there dotted. I think that solo vice likes to get stoned. Yep. Okay, that's all gonna die. Won't bother that stuff. Now come back to the shrine, because I may want to use her twice. Get all her DVs, then have her rest, and then get him again. 1 round might fill me up though, make close, and she can top me off while she's here. Hit points. This has been liberating to have this perma hireling and all the DVs, especially these low levels. I mean, you get so much mana from it. Yeah, I got 100 more to go that I can get from her by having her rest again. And then I still have the shrine when and if I need it. Goodbye. Allows me to so much more freely use my mana, knowing that I have her to fall back on. Okay, if I take this slow and easy, then hopefully everything won't aggro on me, which is why I do it this way. Okay, just gotta be cool here. Gotta be cool and don't run in and aggro everything. Oh, I hear him coming. Wait, Family Reaper. Make sure you got shield going for that. Gotta get that shaman taken care of. level 5, you got to put your pale lavender on immediately as soon as you see a famine reaper. That's going to save your life. Get in the habit of that. You see a famine reaper, pale lavender, bam. They're not so scary when you have that on. When you don't have it on, they're crazy scary. Their little fire that they shoot, you can see it just clears out those weeds, unfortunately. Still got a minute to go on resummoning my girlfriend. Yep, stoned and then vorpaled. It's Arlos. Stoned again. Do I got a breakables bonus yet? I haven't heard it. Man, what do you gotta do to get breakables bonus around here? Is she ready? Yep. No. Yes. So life 15, you know, at the beginning of the Dragonborn series, when I started my racial lives, I said, you know, it was my, I was going racial completionist at 30 racial lives. That's a tall order. I'm halfway there. And I said my goal was to do it by the end of the year, and my stretch goal was to do it before the expansion came out. Well, the expansion comes out in October, like it's tentatively scheduled. In my last video, I said, you know, Cordovan said winter, and he acknowledged after that that he misspoke. So as far as I know, as far as the community knows, it's October, which, you know, we know could get pushed back, but that's the tentative date. In any event, I won't make my stretch goal, but I may make my goal of getting them all done by the end of the year. It'd be close. By the time the expansion comes around in October, I should be on around about like life 20, 21, 22-ish. I got a breakables bonus. Alright. Let's finish this. Where was he? Somewhere here. Let's go jerky. You talk too much, Arlos. Unfortunately, I don't have any buffs that I can give him, but we should be good to go. Oh God. Please ignore all that stuff over there, Arlos, if you know what's good for you. Woot! Ding, level 4. Well, thanks for watching. Like I said, I want to do more videos this life of just quests where there are, it's going to mostly be little things that I do, do a little bit differently now that we have Reaper mode that I find helpful, and hopefully you'll find some of the tips helpful too. If you have any questions about my videos, you can respond on YouTube.